surat kita daripada kita fikir kalau macam membuat misalnya pengenalan sejak awal dan ini kan dengan buat keputusan dengan itu dengan kita juga tidak ada juga tapi kita tidak ada ini itu lepas buat program tidak kuranglah program-program itu mungkin aku pernah ada dana pernah ada depan ini buat aku boleh dapat dalam surat ini ada tulis lepas masih dan orang ni kena sebenarnya dalam buatnya 2 minggu lepas tu. Sebenarnya awak dah program tapi hasil bulan program pada minggu awak tak hantar bulan depan ada awak ada buku program dan kita akan awak belah dari program
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay, Firoz, share slide.
Jap. Share slide. Check the background.
Kita akan live pukul 10
Okay.
Malas, please invite all the participants to join this Zoom or they may access through YouTube.
Ni video. Okay.
Okay, Firoz.
Okay.
Pukul 10 ni saya akan intro untuk apa ni, mewakili Komnet lah. Nak terangkan sikit tentang ICT volunteer kita ni.
Okay.
So saya serahkan kamu.
Okay, boleh, tak ada salah.
Okay, Mariam. You may live now. And share the YouTube link to WhatsApp group. Okay, Firoz, boleh ni dulu, Firoz? Tutup dulu, stop sharing dulu.
Okay, skip sharing. Okay. Sekejap ni.
Stop sharing dulu.
Macam tutup sekejap. Macam ni kot. Tekan apa tutup? Oh, stop sharing ke atas.
Okay, baik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, hari ini kita dapat bersiaran dalam program ICT Volunteer dengan topik pengenalan asas laman web, web server, HTML, CSS dan juga JavaScript yang akan disampaikan oleh saudara Muhammad Firdaus yang merupakan mahasiswa Jabatan Komputeran daripada Unicel. Ini merupakan inisiatif daripada Center for Community Engagement Komnet bersama dengan pelajar yang mempunyai bakat, talent untuk berkongsi, buat fikiran, idea, skill Kali ini kita bagi ruang sepenuhnya kepada ICT volunteer kita, saudara Firdaus, untuk berkongsi kaedah-kaedah untuk membangunkan laman web berasaskan coding. Jadi saya fikir ini permulaan program dan kita alu-alukan juga mahasiswa UNISA yang lain, pelbagai latar belakang yang berbeza, dapat juga berkongsikan ilmu supaya dapat manfaat kepada komuniti digital kita di luar sana. Saya harap ini bukan yang pertama dan terakhir, Firdaus. Lepas ni mungkin ada beberapa siri lagi yang boleh dikongsikan. Yang penting ialah kita nak membudayakan digital lifestyle dengan memberikan ilmu-ilmu teori dan juga technical, hands-on, supaya lebih ramai lagi mereka dapat membuat eksplorasi lah dalam dunia digital ni. InsyaAllah siapa-siapa yang berminat untuk bersama-sama dengan saudara Firdaus sebagai ICT volunteer ni boleh menghubungi saya sendiri ataupun saudara Firdaus supaya ada ruang yang lain untuk kita berikan kepada saudara-saudari berkongsikan pengalaman ilmu dan ada manfaat kepada komuniti. Kita ucapkan thank you very much to our organizer, Sister Mariam, that managed on technical aspect in this workshop. Okey, saya serah kepada Firdaus. Silakan Firdaus. Assalamualaikum.
Okey, waalaikumsalam. Terima kasih Encik Izwan atas keperluan tadi. Pertama sekali saya ingin perkenalkan diri saya. Nama saya Muhammad Firdaus bin Amran dan saya adalah pelajar semester kedua Computer Science. Dan saya juga adalah naib presiden untuk Pematik Persatuan Mahasiswa Teknologi Maklumat. Jadi pada hari ini saya akan cerita sikit lah macam mana website itu berfungsi. Jadi kita start mungkin sikit-sikit on the technical stuff, tapi kita santai je, cakap chill je. Okay, so first saya share slide kejap. Share slide, let's see. Okay, it seems that maybe kalau ada international students ni mungkin boleh cakap ke, kita boleh tukar to English, no problem, tak ada hal pun. Okay, jadi pada hari ini apa yang akan saya bentangkan atau ceritakan adalah berkenaan dengan laman web, asas laman web. Jadi laman web there's four things that are important. The first one is a web server, and then the files, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are the four things that makes up a website. So kalau nak buat website tu memang benda ni memang benda yang mana website pun ada lah. Itu memang fundamentals dia. Okay. Jadi let's see to the next slide. Yang ni memang saya tak ni sangat lah, just brief explanation saja. Okay, sedikit overview lah apa yang kita akan tengok pada hari ni. Just a little bit overview of what we are gonna be exploring today. The first one I will be explaining about web server, and then HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are all, like I said before, the fundamentals of a web. These are what makes a web works. Okay. So on to the next slide. So the web server. I'm gonna start with the web server. So what is a web server? Web server is maybe like a computer or software that is supposed to serve files to the user. That's what the function of it. So fungsi dia adalah untuk melayan request user dengan menghantar file. Kiranya disediakan file. Kiranya ada satu perisian yang sediakan file untuk user. Jadi bila user minta tu dia dapat. Say something like that. So web server is sebenarnya agak banyak lah. There's quite a lot of web server in the world, but the one that I almost always use is Nginx and Apache, and there's also IIS. This one is for Windows. But yeah, any kind of web server is there's a little bit of difference between them. Like maybe in Nginx there's reverse proxy, there's a little bit of advanced stuff, but the thing is, the one that most people use is Apache, IIS, and Nginx. You will always see it on most websites, on the Google and stuff. Okay. So like I said before, web server is supposed to serve you files. So when you connect to a web server, they will serve you files so that you can see those files after you have asked for the files. So they will try to serve it to you. So a little scenario in our life, when we are working with a web server. So for example, Ali wants to open the www.google.com. So he opens a browser, and then in the background, the browser will make a request to the web server, and then the web server will respond back by giving the files that is needed to display the web page. So now after they have replied or response back with the files for the interface, Ali could see the interface of the website. So if you are using a browser right now, for example, if right now you're using browser and then you type into the address bar www.google.com, you straight away see the Google logo and the search bar and stuff. But what actually happens in the background is you are actually making a request to the web server, and then the web server responds back with the files that is supposed to display all those kind of things, which is the Google logo, the address bar. So the web server function is to serve web files so that you can see it with your browser. So that's one of the things that happens in the background when we try to open a web. So this is a little bit of picture so that you guys could see. So right here, this is your computer. You are using a Mozilla, and then you are asking from the server, please send me this file, and then the server will give you that file. And what you will see is the file that you're supposed to see. So the server is just like, the web server is just like, it's supposed to serve files. That's what it exactly is. So yeah, that's basically it. So we all move on to the next, which is HTML. HTML is it's a file. It's before this I talk about web server. Web server is a software or a server or a computer that is supposed to serve files, but HTML is one of the files that is gonna be served onto the users. So the users will see this HTML file. HTML file is actually a rough, I would say, ranker. What is ranker in English? So ranker is like a structure of a website. So HTML will define what kind of structure your website will have. For example, we'll look at an example a little bit after this. So HTML will divide a little bit of your page into certain parts. The first one is the head part, and then there's the body part, and then the footer part. So what exactly is HTML is, it's supposed to makes a website a little bit more tidier. Like the structure and stuff, so that you will always know where to look for. So yeah, that's supposed to be the function of it. But other than that, if you want to put pictures, videos and stuff, maybe even now you can even put password patterns on HTML. So yeah, HTML is, I would say, a structure of a website. It doesn't really do much. It's just the structure of it. So you are making a structure of a website. And so it's like, there's nothing really special about it other than maybe like you could put videos and images on it. So this is a syntax, example syntax of HTML. So there's a start tag. The start tag usually starts with the arrow to the left and then close to the arrow to the right. And then there's contents in it. And then we close it, the syntax with arrow to the left. And then we do slash. And then we put the same tag name and we close it by the arrow to the right. So the syntax in HTML, it's quite simple actually. It's most people thought that HTML is a programming language, but it's actually not. It's just a markup language. Like I said before, it's for making structured website so that you could see the website in a structured way. So that is a bit more tidy, of course. So this is what I meant just now. We have the device, body, head. So yeah, so the head, usually we have title. The title is supposed to be when you are on the web browser, you're opening an address website, you're opening a website, and then you see it on the top of the Chrome tab. That is supposed to be the title. So the body part is the middle. You can see it on the middle of the website. So it's the content of it. Body is like the content of it. So head usually doesn't have a lot of, I would say, things to display. But usually you put in head, you put scripts, you put CSS, you put some other stuff. But usually if you want to display something to other people, then it's in the body. Okay. So that's a little bit about HTML. And then we're moving on to CSS. Just now what we had was the structure of a website. So now we are gonna look into how are we supposed to design the structure. So we have the structure and now we are trying to make it a little bit more fancier, or maybe look a little bit better, because HTML is just a structure. This is supposed to be the colors. CSS is supposed to be the colors and maybe like animation and stuff. So CSS is something that makes a website much more interactive. No, sorry, not interactive. Sorry, I mean by CSS is supposed to make a website much more colorful, and you will see colors coming from CSS. HTML is just a structure. So what is CSS? CSS is, like I said before, is something that that is used to design a web in HTML. So it allows you to set colors, position, maybe like create borders and stuff. So with HTML, you are limited to only the structure of it. You cannot do any kind of designs with HTML. But with CSS, you are able to do a lot of design kind of things. You're able to change colors, shape, size, and everything. So CSS is like the paint of a house. Like HTML is the structure of the house, and CSS is like the paint of it. So you are trying to paint your house. So CSS, there's actually three types of CSS. The first one is inline. So as you can see, HTML and CSS works closely. As we can see here that the inline CSS, we are working with the HTML, but we added an attribute called style you could see here, style equals to color blue. So the style actually means that we are setting the text to be blue in color. So we will look into that later, because you might not see it right now because it's from slides, but we will see it work after this. So there's internal CSS. The internal CSS, we are using the style tags, and the external CSS, we are using the link tag. You see, we might not see it right now, but after this, we will look into how each of these things complements each other. So moving on to the next, we move into the best part. Is actually, this is my favorite part. This is JavaScript. JavaScript is supposed to help you make animations, make a website more interactive, and even now there's a lot of things that JavaScript can do on the web, like really a lot, but I will show you after this. So JavaScript is actually a programming language. Let me just note that again. HTML and CSS is not a programming language, but JavaScript is, because HTML and CSS, you are not able to do calculation. You are not able to do 1 + 1, 1 + 2. You are not able to do that. But in JavaScript, you are able to do calculation 1 + 1, 1 + 2. Even now, there's a lot of things that you can do with JavaScript. But back in the days, people used to do JavaScript for animations, making website interactive, so that you have to refresh and stuff. So yeah, JavaScript is like, before this we had CSS, which is like the pin of the house. JavaScript is something that make a website works. It's like, maybe like if you want to add a wheel to the house, but it's just JavaScript allows you to create animations so that your website looks a little bit more interactive. You don't want to be looking too shabby with no animation and stuff. You want to be like, when you enter a website, you want to see animation popping up here and there. That will be cool. So that's one of the JavaScript function. But yeah, JavaScript, other thing that JavaScript can do is do calculation on the web page calculation. So they're able to do 1 + 1, 1 + 2. But after this, we will see what other things that JavaScript can do. But yeah, like I said before, JavaScript actually have progressed a lot during these years, like really a lot. I've seen them do incredible things like machine learning and stuff. So this is an example of a JavaScript. So you can see here, we start with a script tag, and then we use the type text JavaScript. So JavaScript, HTML, and CSS works together as a whole. So they can be combined into one file. So there's no problem working with that. So when we combine them in one file, we can also separate them. But the one that will be serving those files is the web server. So I guess I will get into the next hands-on session. But first, I just want to revise a little bit that a web server, the first one, the web server, is supposed to serve files, to the user so that the user could see the website. Okay. And then we have the HTML. The HTML is supposed to be the structure of the website. And then we have CSS. CSS is supposed to be the paint, the color, the design of the website. And the fourth one is JavaScript. JavaScript is, I would say, to make the website interactive, have animations, make it more fun, maybe like playing games or something. But yeah, these are the four things they make up most website on the internet. If you are seeing any website on the internet, you're opening Facebook, maybe like maybe Facebook, maybe Instagram, they will have all of these four things in the background working. So the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript can be combined together into one file, and then will be served by the web server. So yeah, I think I will start by doing a little bit of typing into the HTML. Maybe I'll show a little bit of HTML. Let's see, I'll share the screen first. So how do I share the screen? Okay, I hope you guys can see my screen clearly. Let's see. Okay. So when we are start, first, I think I'm gonna start by installing a web server. Just like I said before, we need to serve those files so that we could see them serving those files. So first, for this workshop, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use XAMPP because XAMPP includes a lot of different things, but in the core of it, it uses Apache. So I'm gonna search for XAMPP. Then I'm gonna go to download, search for XAMPP, then download. And then when I download the so it's okay to have any other kind of version. This one just the version of PHP and stuff, but I think I'm gonna take the top one. I've downloaded it before this, I think. So I'm just gonna install it now. Let's see, I think it's my programs. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so we have XAMPP installer here. And then we're gonna double click it, install it. We have to wait a while. Okay. So I have my installer here. And then we're just gonna click OK. Then we're gonna go next. Go next. And then maybe like I have to check if the folder is not there. Okay. So the folder is not there. So I just proceed to next. Then next. Then next. Next. The reason that I use XAMPP is that we have a lot of things included in the XAMPP. So you have web server, you have mail server, and you also have a database server. So I'm just making, I don't want to like do complicated things now. So I just set up XAMPP so that I could start a web server out of the box. I just want the web server out of this XAMPP. So a XAMPP is actually a big package for web development. So XAMPP will include a web server. A web server that is used by XAMPP is called Apache. So we have to wait a little bit for the installing part. It will take some time. You see, what I love about creating websites is that you are able to show what you have done to the world, like maybe like your friends, anyone, because a website is accessible by almost any devices. That's what the best part of it. I love making websites because, yeah, like I said before, it's like you are sharing your creativity, your arts and stuff on your website and then show it to the world. So we are waiting for the file installing. After this, I'm gonna show you guys how a web server can be put into public so that others could see your website. But first, we have to install the web server first, of course. So the web server is hosted locally on our computer. So we have to wait a while for the installing part. maybe at the end of the session, maybe like we'll play with some JavaScript and stuff. Maybe like AI stuff, animation and JavaScript, because I find HTML and CSS to be HTML is boring actually. CSS is okay because HTML, it's because CSS is designing things and stuff. You could see a lot of colorful kind of stuff from CSS, but HTML is quite boring. JavaScript is fun, a lot of fun. I will show you why. Right after this, maybe like last 20 minutes maybe. So so we are waiting for the installation. Alhamdulillah. Itulah, santai je, chill lah. But actually, I have not a lot of things to share, but I'm just gonna show you one of like few things that I find it to be fun in web development. Like how far have we progressed from the past until now. I'm just gonna show you guys. There's a lot of improvement over the past years, especially in JavaScript. So we are waiting for the installation a bit. Ta 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 ta. Cek-cek. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Oh, okay. So the installation has finished. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna tick this. So we start the control panel right away. So I'm gonna click on finish. And then we have this little panel here, control panel here. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start only the Apache. The Apache is web server. MySQL is the database. FileZilla, if I'm not mistaken, it's supposed to be the FTP server. Mercury, if I'm not mistaken, supposed to be email. Tomcat, I'm not sure. But Apache is the one that we're gonna use today. We want the web server to be Apache for today. So we're gonna start it. And then I will start at port 80 and 443. But the one we'll be using today is 80 only. So to see if it works, there are two addresses that you can navigate to. The first one is, I hope you can see what I'm typing here. The first one is 127.0.0.1. So this is a loopback address. It's like you are connecting to your stuff. So if you put 127.0.0.1, when you have started the web server, what you will see is this. You will see welcome to XAMPP. If you are using XAMPP, this is what's supposed to be shown if you are installing XAMPP. So the other address that you can use to enter the website, you could use localhost / and then we press enter. It's the same thing, but the difference is the 127 uses IP and the other one uses something like I would say alphabetical address, like a domain, localhost. So what I'm gonna use right now is the 127, I think. So if you want to like see the files that they are serving, you can actually see it from, if you are using XAMPP, you open the Explorer here, Explorer, and then you can look into the htdocs folder. This is what files that are being served right now. The files that are being served right now. How do I know it's being served? If I remove all of this, if I clean all of this, I delete. Okay, so it's empty right now. So enough. If I try to refresh it, refresh the website, it becomes empty also. So it's not serving any files right now. So that's in the htdocs folder is where the files are being served. So right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write an HTML file so that we could see how HTML really works. So I have an text editor. I love to use Visual Studio Code because Visual Studio Code have a lot of extensions and stuff. So this extension that I use is for this. I think it's HTML. I think never mind. But you could search for it if you want HTML snippets and stuff. So it allows you to not memorize syntax. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna create a new file using this Visual Studio Code, and then I'm gonna type in maybe like index.html. One thing to note is that the main page of a website will always be named index. Doesn't matter the extension, but it will always be index, because you can actually change it, but by default it will be the name index. So what I'm gonna do the new file, text file, and then I'm gonna save it. Save as, and then I will open in. I will go into the folder, the XAMPP folder in C, and then I went into htdocs that we just entered just now. And then we change it to extension to HTML. I think HTML, yes, HTML. Index.html. So the index file is like the main page of it. So we will try and see what will happen. And we save it. So now we have a file called index.html. So what we do is we type in random letters and then what we do next is we refresh the page. So we have these characters. So it's working. The web server is actually serving that file to us. So we're gonna open W3 schools, and we're gonna take a look about some of the references of HTML. So HTML usually starts with the doc type, HTML, and then the head, the body. So in Visual Studio Code and few other IDEs or code editors, you are able to create these structures automatically. Like in my Visual Studio Code, what I use is, if I'm not mistaken, I use HTML, and then I select HTML5, then I press enter, and then I would have all these kind of things set up together. And what I just did is quite simple. I just added some extension before this. I think the HTML snippets, which allows you to create all this syntax automatically. You don't have to memorize all of it. Even if you don't memorize it, you don't have to memorize it. You just Google for the structure, and then you copy. So now we have the structure. The structure that we have now is the head and the body. So we will take a look on the website that we have right now. Let's refresh the page. Refresh. We did not make any changes yet. We're just using the template that we had from the snippets. So we refresh. So now we have the title, name, document on top. You can see up here, you can see document. So we're gonna try this so what I'm gonna do, we're gonna refresh that and see. So it has changed. It has changed the test title. So actually, I've not mentioned before, but this title is the opening tag, and then this is the closing tag. So HTML is quite simple. There's a lot of tags, but it is always closed by this slash. So right now we have a body, the body opening text, and then the closing text. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna write into that body. So if you want to do a paragraph, you see W3 Schools is a good place if you want to find syntax that you don't remember, or maybe like you want to test it yourself and see what happens. W3 School is a good place to try and stuff. So I'm gonna look for paragraph. Do you have paragraph? I say my paragraph. This is supposed to be text. So you can even try it here if you want. So if you type on this code, this is what will appear. So I'm gonna try it on my web server and see what happens. So I'm gonna copy all this syntax. Okay, I'll copy both of the syntax. And then I put it in the body section. And then we save it and make it a bit tidier. Save it. Okay, save it. And then I will go to the website that we have just created just now. Then we refresh. And we are supposed to have these 2 lines of tags. So that is paragraph. For example, how we supposed to insert image. For image, there's a syntax for that too. So we're gonna take a look if I'm not mistaken, HTML images. So image is, so the tag is image, and then that's the source of it. And then the all is actually not mandatory, but it's okay to have it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put an image down here, image, and then I'm gonna do source, and I'm gonna do source. Okay, first I have to get an image first. I have to get an image maybe from a website, something. Maybe like this image. Can I use this image? Maybe like I have to find a cat image. Cat image. Oh, this one. This one's cute. Maybe this one. No, this one. This one. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna save image as. So I'm gonna save it in my htdocs folder, and then name it cat.jpg. So you can actually view the file if you want to directly. So in the web server, if you want to view the file directly, you can do slash and then type in the file name and the extension of it, cat.jpg. So we press enter, and then you're supposed to see cat picture. So we are going back. We are trying to show an image on this page. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna type in image src. So they will have the equal sign, and then we have the 2 apostrophe, I would say. And then in the apostrophe, you will put in the name of the file. Where is it located? You can put in cat.jpg directly because it's in the same folder. So I'm gonna save it and I'm gonna close it. The thing is, not every HTML syntax have a closing text like this. Like for example, in image, you don't really have to do something like this. You don't really have to do something like this. It's not something that is required. So you can always leave it like this, like only one of it, So I'm gonna save it and see if the cat appears on my page. So I'm gonna refresh it. Yeah, so a cat appears right here. So the next thing that I'm gonna do, maybe like, I want to get a video. Nah. Let's see, and let's take a look at the square and see if there are things that we could take a look. Maybe like links. Yeah, we can try links. Try copying this stuff, and then we put it here. The A text is the link is for link. So if you leave it here, it will point, it will come out something like this. It would have a hyperlink kind of text. So when you click on it, we go to something called URL because you define the href as URL. But if you define it something else, like maybe www.google.com, then we change the text. Google. Okay, Google. And then we save it. And we go back and refresh. And then we click on the link. It still doesn't work. Why? Because if you are going to another website, you need to have it, I would say, the protocol. So we have to add the HTTPS and // and then maybe we save it, and hopefully it will work this time. We refresh it and we click on it. So yeah, now our website is now redirecting the link into google.com. So in HTML, you're able to see we are able to put images. Let's see tables. Let's take a look at tables. And let's just copy this code right here. This one tables is quite confusing, but actually it's quite simple. It takes some time to get the hang of it, but I believe you guys will be able to explore this after this by yourself. So I'm gonna just copy it here and paste. And I'm gonna take a look what will appear in our page, and I'm gonna refresh. So they have a table that does not have borders. So to add borders, you are actually able to use HTML, but to add borders, you have to use CSS. So like I said before, HTML is just a structure of a website. To have designs such as borders, lines, colors, and stuff, you need to implement CSS. So now we are moving on to CSS. So see that. So I'm gonna remove all of this, move all the body, make it clear. I think I'll just leave it the title here. Let's make it. So I'm moving on to CSS. So maybe I'll type a new text, P, this hello world, maybe like hello world. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the text color to be red. But first I have to check if the hello world works. I have to refresh the page. So the hello world works, no problem. And then I want to make it red. Then we set to style. Then we have the equal and the apostrophe sign, like the same as before in the image, and A. So we're gonna put in here color, red, color, colon, and then red. Then we save it. And then we refresh the page, the color is supposed to be red. So this is one of the ways to implement CSS in HTML. This is called inline CSS. So the other two ways is I'm gonna show you in just a while. I'm gonna remove this style. The other way to do is we do in file CSS. I wouldn't say it's in file, but it's internal CSS. So what we need to do is usually they put it on top on the head section. So just space, and then we type in style, and then close it with /style, and then we space. And then what we do is we try to communicate or try to link it with the HTML element. So we have P. So we type in P, and then what we do is we press on the bracket, and then we put in the attribute that we want. So we want the color to be red. So we put color red, and then we save it. Okay. So we have style P. So the P will link with the P. So the color is supposed to be red. The hello was supposed to be red now. So I will refresh it, and yeah, the color is still red. So it works. Let's try blue. And then we refresh it. Yeah, now it's blue. So this is internal CSS. So the CSS is defined on the file. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna create external CSS, which is defined on outside file. We are calling it from outside. So I'm gonna create a new file right here, text file, and then I save it. Okay, into htdocs, the same folder, and then I'm gonna name it. I think this CSS.css. I think I'm gonna name it maybe like styles.css. Okay, styles, and I'm gonna save it, and then I'm gonna put in the thing inside style. I'm gonna copy this thing, copy. I'll just cut it. And I just remove this style tag and save. Then I'll put it in here in this external file. So how are we gonna call it? To call the file outside, we have to use a tag, an HTML tag called link. So link, if I'm not mistaken, it's link rel. I don't know if I remember it, but it's okay. If you don't remember syntax, you can just Google it. It's always fine to Google things. So take a look. Let's take a look at you can always Google like something like link rel slide sheet, link CSS. Let's see, link tag. So we take a look here. So here we have the command, the syntax that we're supposed to use to connect to the other file. So we put in here link rel slide sheet, and then in the href we put in the name of the file. So we have set it to styles.css. The name of the file is style.css. So it's supposed to do the same thing as before, but this time the code is not inside this file, but it's outside. So you're just calling the code from here, from outside to inside. So it's like you're trying to call something from outside. So yeah. So href style.css. So yes, we save, and we are supposed to have the same kind of output. Yeah, it's still blue. So next we're gonna do maybe change it to white, or if it's white, I think it's gonna be transparent or same to the page. Or what happened? Let's see. Refresh. You couldn't see it, but if you put your mouse over it, you could see that you could select hello world. Let's try. Do you have magenta? See if magenta. Yeah, it works. So this is one of the ways to these are the few ways you could link a CSS file. You can put it on the syntax itself. You can put it on the file itself, or you could put it on outside of the file. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna touch a little bit about class so that you are able to select things a little bit more specific. So we have P right here. You can specify either ID or class, so that we can manipulate the color and stuff from this CSS file. So what I'm gonna do this this time is first is I'm gonna do class, and we name it first text. I'm gonna name it first text. So we open the styles. We're gonna rename the P into for class. We have to use dot, and then we put in first text. And supposedly we will have the same output as before because we did not change the color. So we take a look at this and we refresh. Yes, it's the same. So now the CSS is linked through the class rather than the syntax itself. So it's based on class. So the class usually have to start with a dot. So yeah. Next one we're gonna try is ID. Let's try ID. And then I'm gonna put in maybe like the same thing, first text. But the difference is you have to change from dot to hashtag for ID. Hashtag. And then we save it, and then we're supposed to have the same kind of output. So we refresh. Yeah, it's the same. Let's try changing it to dark blue and see what happens. Yeah, so it works. So that's two ways of making things specific. Okay. So I'm gonna move on into maybe JavaScript after this, but a little bit of CSS. In CSS, you can actually do animations. Back in the past, we don't have that feature, but CSS now have progressed quite a lot. So I'm gonna take a look. I think I've bookmarked it somewhere. But we're gonna take a look at CSS animations. Take a look here. So there's keyframes. I'm gonna try this. Let's just try it here. I don't want to put it in my website. Can put a website also fine. So let's try copying all of this. Copy. Then we put it on the website. And then we save it. Save it. Now we refresh. So the animation basically does what it really does is if we try to change color from red to yellow in like maybe like how many seconds, I think 4 seconds. So we change red to yellow. So it's not only JavaScript that can do animation actually. CSS can also do animations, but I prefer to use JavaScript for animation if I don't want to mix things up. So we will be back with the same code. I just undo same code that we had just now. So I save and refresh. So I just undo the code. Okay. So we are moving on to JavaScript. JavaScript is actually I would say it's quite hard for beginners to get into because it requires some kind of logic thinking because it's a programming language actually. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave it something like this. Leave it here. So one of the basic JavaScript syntax that I remember is usually they put JavaScript and CSS in the head section. So we put script. We start with script, and then we close it with a slash script. And then what we can do is we can type in alert, and then you can type in your JavaScript inside here. Alert. Actually, JavaScript syntax quite difficult. You have to kind of check in the W3 schools. Let's see. So let's see alert. So you see most of them most of JavaScript syntax are like a programming language. It's a programming language actually. So we have alert. So I just copy it here. Copy it. So this is JavaScript. We are moving on to JavaScript. We are making a website interactive. And we save it. And then we're going to refresh the page. So we have this message, which is an alert in JavaScript. So yeah, so we can change it maybe like hello world. Then we save it. Then hello world. So what I'm gonna do right now, maybe like I create an addition stuff. So we add things by using HTML and JavaScript. So I'm gonna do 2 input places. So first I'm gonna take a look here and look at HTML text, which is I think I'm gonna use input as input next to HTML. Then take a look at input. Now just have to show a form. That's HTML form. Okay, I think this one is good. Input type text. So I'm gonna copy this one. Copy this syntax. I remove this. I don't think I'll remove this one. Right. Addition of numbers. So I put this input type text. Then I close it. I don't close it. Then I take a look and see what happens. So we have this input box. So I'm gonna first remove this script. Well, I add it later after this. So this is the first input box. And then I'm gonna put another input box. Now put it here, save it, refresh. So we have 2 input box right now. So maybe like this tags, we could put it. Let's see what happens. Yeah, so there's 2 tags. So I'm gonna put in here first number, second number. So I'm gonna put a P here, another P called addition of 2 numbers. So we're gonna use JavaScript to add these 2 numbers together. So if you put in 1, 2, then we will get the output. How much is it? So first we have to get the value of the first number. We have to get the value of the first section. So to look for it, we have to go to Google. We have to search how to get the value of input field in JavaScript. So we can click on here, the DOM input, that's value property. So they use the code for this, get element by ID. So we're gonna set the input ID to maybe first input, and then this one is the second input. Sorry, we have to go back. It's not supposed to be in the P. It's supposed to be in the input. So I'm gonna put this one ID first input, and then ID second input. Okay, so we got the first input here, and then the ID for the second input. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna read. Yeah, gonna read that value. So we're gonna read that value. Script. We can actually change the value actually. So the ID, I want to change the first input. So you can actually read the value by doing console.log console dot never mind. I think I just changed the value for now. So right now by default it's supposed to be blank. So what I'm gonna do is change it to something like maybe test. And then if you refresh the page, it's supposed to have the value test. No, it's not working. Maybe like we have to change a few things first. Let's take a look here. Input ID, first input. Let's see, this is the first input. Dot value test. I think we have to put a semicolon. I think I missed that. Let's take a look at the console first and see if there's something. Oh, cannot set properties of null, certain value. Let's take a look at how they implement the code. You see, there are always things that I would say doesn't work. So just keep on going and just keep on learning, and eventually you will get the answer. So let's just try it here. So if I try to type in DDD and try it, change it to Johnny Bravo. So let's try if I this one uses I think just copy his code because it's much more simple to do that. So I just explain it a bit about what the code does. So I format this document to make it a little bit tidier. So this is the text, the input type, the default value is my key. I should remove it, the value. So this is the text. Addition of two numbers. Let's change it to addition to numbers. Button dot on click. So they have the tag called syntax called button. So on click, it will execute this function down here. So let's try it first and see if that works with the code that we have copied just now. DD. So it's changed. So I'm gonna add another input type. First number, I'm gonna do addition. Second number. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create another maybe like I have to change the text actually. Never mind. So first number, second number. So my function element ID. So we get the value. How to get the value? The value by what is this? First input and second input. First input is this. We are gonna leave it here, and we're gonna define it to be the first input. This is how we define variable in JavaScript. We're gonna do second input equals to document element ID. Check. You see, JavaScript can get quite confusing. I'm pretty sure you guys are pretty lost right now. So we're gonna put in second because it's a programming language. So if you are not good at programming, then you will struggle a little bit with JavaScript actually. So I've declared the variable, then change it. And then what I'm gonna do is maybe in the function I put a console.log, which is supposed to show those input and see if it works. So I'm gonna do first input, console.log. It's the same as printing, but you just don't see it on the page. Console.log. So refresh. So this is the console. This is the console. So I'm gonna put in TTD, try. So TTD comes out. TTD comes out. So it works. So I'm gonna try console.log second input. and see if the second input works. 353, 444. Try it. So it works. The code works. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add these two numbers. So we're gonna add these two numbers. First, we have to add P 0. So put 0 here. Then current number P ID num. We name it num. And then what we want to do is we want to change the value inside the HTML. So change HTML text with JavaScript. We just search like that. HTML. So to change it, we use this. We use this little syntax. So when click on it, I just put it here. We change the ID into num. So the new text, which we try first, is supposed to come out as new text. It is supposed to change. So we try 2, 3, 4, 4. New text. So 0 change into new text. So what I'm gonna do is gonna change this to first input plus second input. And then I'm gonna save it and see if that works. So now we have 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4. We have the number 0. And we try it. Yeah, it becomes a string. It's combining these two tags. So how are we supposed to fix this? Then we have to change it from number to log first input plus second input. We have to check. We have to change it to integer. Check it. 3, 3, 4, 4. So we have to look into Google JavaScript. Change text to integer. Pass int. So we use the pass int function. So let's try it. Let's try pass int function. We use pass int and then we put in bracket and then we close it around here and see if that works. 3, 3, 4, 4. Right? Oh, it doesn't work. Never mind. Let's see if I use console.log. Let's try result plus input plus second input. Console.log pass int result and see if that works. I'm not sure if it will work or not. Let's try 2, 3, 4, 4. Oh, it doesn't work. I think we have to pass it in here. Pass int and we put it here. Then, oh, sorry. Pass int over here. And then pass int over here. And see if that works. 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. So that's 7. So it works now. So what we had to do just now, we have to change from text, from string to integer. So yeah, that was it. Flag funky. So the next thing I'm gonna show you guys is actually quite fun. We like doing animation kind of background. So we're going to Venta.js. So this is animated 3D backgrounds, which is based on JavaScript. So I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of it so you could see all this moving stuff. So I'm gonna take this cloud, I think. This cloud. Then I'm gonna copy all this code. Copy all this code and put it. I just remove the script. Put it on script up here. Just format this document. And then we'll just remove this texture. Element selector, I think I'm gonna put it to body and see if that works. We're supposed to have this cloud thing. And refresh. Oh, it's not working. Banta. Let's see, Banta doesn't work. Why does it not work? Let's try creating a div. Then we name it class Vanta, and then we change it to dot Vanta. Then refresh. Vanta is not defined, so I have to change it, I think. Maybe like I'll try another one, the net one. And this one is a little bit easier to copy it. Oh, the CDN, I forgot. You have to copy the link directly. So I have to copy all of this. Copy all of this and put it here. So I just remove the two up here. And then I'm gonna copy this link address 3. And then banta.net. This link here. And we're gonna save it. And then we change this to the one that we have just now. Banta, which is called banta.banta. I'm gonna save it. Oh, it doesn't work. I'm gonna find element.banta. Let's try ID banta. Hashtag. Maybe like we have to put it down here. I'm not quite sure myself. Let's see if that works. Yeah, so that works. You have to kind of put it down a little bit because this page have to load before this script loads. So yeah, you are able to do this kind of animation stuff. Like it's really cool. You can move stuff and stuff like this. I'm able to change it, I think. Vanta.net. Try clouds too and see what happens. No, I didn't have cloud, I think. Oh, I didn't put it. Never mind. So just leave it to net. So we have this cool animation kind of stuff, moving stuff. So yeah, this is the cool part of it. But the best part of it, I think, about JavaScript that I love now is ML5JS, where you are able to. So I have to set up something. So this is machine learning in web. You are able to do image classification, object detection on the web now. So let's set up my webcam. So my webcam over here. Okay. I have another camera setting up on there. And then what I'm gonna try here is maybe like on the I'm gonna try the hand pose. Let's try the hand pose. So this is really cool. For me it's quite fun to work with. Scroll down here. This is what JavaScript can do right now. I'm gonna do the hand pose webcam. I'm gonna click this one, this example. So I'm just gonna copy all of this and put it into my code. I'm probably gonna remove all of this. Control A and Control V and save it. And I create a new file called sketch.js, new text file, sketch.js. So I'm changing it to JS file, JavaScript file. Sketch.js. So now I'm gonna copy the sketch.js from here. Let's copy all of this. And then I'm gonna save it here, and then we're gonna refresh the page and see if it works. To check if it works, we have to inspect and then check the console. Let's see. Right. So this camera is from, I think it's from my phone actually. So this is the hand movement. So this is part of the things that work. So it's quite cool, like what JavaScript can do now. We're able to do things like this on a web. So next thing I'm gonna do, maybe like these are the other things that are fun too, that I find it fun. Let's open the page again. I think maybe like the face mesh. Face mesh is fun too, but you're able to detect faces. But I think the best one is image classifier. So what I'm gonna do now is, so we got the last few minutes left. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna classify an image using a web, using JavaScript. So I'm gonna click on here, this example right here. And then I'm gonna copy this index.html, put it here, paste it, and this sketch.js, I'm gonna copy the sketch.js from here. And then I'm gonna put it here. So what I'm gonna have to put in is the cat. So we have the cat image just now that we just save. So we're gonna let the JavaScript decides what kind of object it is, what kind of bird or maybe like cat it is. So over here in the sketch.js, we have to change the file name to cat.jpg so that it will be able to detect the thing that we are supposed to see. So 127, we are gonna refresh the page. So we are waiting. We have to wait. We have to inspect and look at the console and see if the model have loaded. So it had detected it as a label tabby cat. So I'm gonna try another thing. Maybe like a billboard. Let's try this one and see what it detects. It has. Maybe like no. I think this one. Yeah, this one. Oh, sorry, that's wrong. So I'm gonna copy this image and put it here. Well, JPEG is fine too. Depends. WebP also fine. That's no problem. Schubert, save it in the JPEG. And then I'm gonna rename it to Schubert.jpg. And it's supposed to detect it as a Schubert, I think. I refresh the page. Oh, it seems that it's too big of a size canvas, so we have to increase the canvas. Let's make it big. Let's see if it could detect what kind of thing is this. It detects it as alligator. I don't know why, but it's fine. But these are the things that I find fun. You can even do stuff like this on websites. That you could do is body pics. No, I think postnet. Oh, postnet is fun. You're able to check your body pose. So I'm gonna do a webcam postnet. I'm gonna copy this sketch.js and put it here. So it's a JavaScript file. So these are the things that JavaScript can do that I find it to be quite innovative these days. So I'm gonna open my website. So that is loading the model. So the pose is supposed to follow your body pose. So it's using the model that we created. So yeah, it's quite fun. You could work with machine learning on the website. Before this, JavaScript cannot do this, but it's because of the advancement of new JavaScript, which is the Node.js and stuff. You're able to train your machine learning models. So these are one of the fun things to work in JavaScript. One of the things that I always work with is this animated website background. This one really works in any kind of website. So one of the sites that I've made before this, that I've used these kind of things is for the WordPress workshop, which is upcoming on the 16th of June. If you guys want to come, feel free to, but we have a fee of 20 ringgit, which is quite reasonable. We have Sir Izwan Suhada as the speaker. So we take a look at a website that I've created before this. So it's the same kind of thing. We use Vanta, which is JavaScript behind this to make the background animated like this. And then a little bit of HTML, CSS, and stuff. So all this kind of stuff, we see takes time to learn. But I'm just here just to spark a little bit of interest in learning about this kind of website kind of things. I don't really can teach everything in a single session like this. So at least you guys had an interest in learning this kind of technologies that may help us in the future. So let's take a look and see if there's something else that we can play here. Maybe like object detector. No, no. But there's a lot of things. If you want to check it, I just put a link here. Let's put it in here, and then W3 schools. In case you want to learn HTML and stuff. But yeah, I would say JavaScript these days have grown quite a lot. And if you guys want to get into this website development, you have to kind of start from HTML, CSS, and then move on to JavaScript. HTML, CSS is quite simple, actually. It will take some time, but eventually you will get the fruits of it. So I guess I have a few things left. Just check. Let me see. If you guys have any questions or would like to ask me personally, then there's no problem. You can ask me anytime. I guess I'll leave my number later in the group. So is there anything else? Let's see. Let's try this table. I never tried this before. Let's try paste it and see if it becomes a table like this. So I'm gonna do refresh. So yeah, it becomes stable. So I guess there's nothing else to do. It's just that I just want to note that the first thing that we learn is web server, and then HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The web server is supposed to serve these three files. So HTML is the structure of a website. CSS is the design, the color of it. JavaScript is the animation, the calculation and stuff. You are able to do a lot of things like just now. We do a lot of machine learning kind of stuff. We do animations on JavaScript. So yeah, that sums up what I want to share today. It might be a little bit too fast because that's actually to teach all these kind of things in a day, in a session of 1 hour 30 minutes, it's quite difficult because it takes time to learn all these things. It doesn't happen overnight. So first of all, thank you to ComNet for giving me the opportunity to share my knowledge, my experience, and also thanks to everyone who have joined my session. This is my first time actually working on something like this. I've did a few of tutorials before on YouTube, but it's not live. So I would say this one might be a little bit too fast, but at least I just wanted to spark some kind of interest from you guys to learn, so that you guys would see something like this. Learning is supposed to be fun. You are supposed to see learning that is supposed to be fun. So with JavaScript, you're able to do a lot of things. CSS, you're able to color things and stuff, design. So I guess that's it. I don't really have anything to talk about other than that. So I'm moving on to Mr. Izwan.
Okay. Thank you to for the Firdaus for sharing session. So we hope all of the participants can gain some new knowledge, and let's try. Don't worry, because we will conduct another similar workshop, or maybe new topic, and we hope you will join next time. Okay, thank you, Firdaus. See you again, guys. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.